Everybody, this is Dream, and today we have a nice little 7-game NBA slate for you. Before I get started, you guys smash that like and subscribe button. As the NBA is going nowadays, we have a lot of injuries to look at today, so let's look at that here first. For the Pacers, Turner and Nembhard are both questionable. For the Pelicans, McCollum and Murray and Herb Jones are out. Diaz, Hawkins, and Missy are questionable. For the New York Knicks, Towns is questionable. For Toronto, Quickly is doubtful. Barnes is out. For the Bulls, Levine is questionable. For Orlando, Banchero is out and Wagner is questionable. For Atlanta, Hunter, Daniels, and Bogdanovich is out. For the Hornets, Miller is questionable and Mark Williams is out. For Boston, Porzingis is out. For Brooklyn, Bogdanovich is out. And for Cleveland, Struss is out. So lots of injuries today, lots of questionable tags. Turner, Nembhard, Towns, Levine, Quickly, Wagner for Orlando, and also Miller for Charlotte. So there's a lot of questionable tags that we'll have to wait and see on. So I did make a efficient lineup here to start. Now this is obviously going to have to change some because we'll have a lot of questions on those questionable tags. Anthony Davis is probable; he should be playing. Just keep that in mind. And honestly, I would probably switch out Anthony Davis for Trae Young like that as one way to go. But at any rate, these are the guys I like the best at this point. But let's look at our point guards first. So I'll start with Alvarado for Pelicans. Now he's in a very favorable matchup here. He should be getting good minutes today. He's going to get a boost with the injuries to McCollum and Brent and others. So I think he's in a good spot here. He should be able to score over 25 fantasy points, which is, he needs 23 today to pay off because he should get the minutes required to get there. So do keep in mind he did have 3 steals, so even if he gets 30 fantasy points, though, that's a pretty good solid opportunity for him. Jalen Suggs looks really interesting today for Orlando. Looks like he's going to get a lot of upside potential today, especially with Banchero out. He'll get a big boost. Now his price is coming up because he's playing well. He definitely has a low floor, but that ceiling is raising because of the situation with all the injuries on this team. So he's definitely in a good spot there. Austin Reeves looks interesting today for the Lakers. He has got a favorable matchup against Toronto, and Toronto's missing some pieces. He's also been playing pretty well at times. Now he's got a big boom or bust tag on him because he does have slow down games. But the last game against Cleveland was Cleveland's defense is tough. So and a slowdown game, I look for him to have a lot of opportunity to kind of run in this game, and he should be able to have a big solid game here if you can get him in your lineup. Ben Simmons looks interesting today. He's cheap. He doesn't shoot the ball much, but he does have that double-double potential at times, though he really hadn't done any of that so far. But in the 4 games, he's averaging 20 or so fantasy points a game. I think he can get over that today, but he's still not a great option. He's just a decent kind of contrarian play. Trae Young also looks solid today for Atlanta. Now, Young has some upside today as a high-scoring potential game here against Sacramento. Even though Sacramento does have decent defense, these games tend to be pretty high-scoring, and I look for him to dominate in this one as usual. Looking at shooting guards, Austin Reeves can also play here, so can Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas looks like a very interesting play for Brooklyn. He's a guy that's kind of been boom or bust last season and this year, but he has that 50 fantasy point upside, and this matchup does give him some utility as the Bulls are struggling. It's ironic that Brooklyn could be in a situation where they end up getting a blowout here. Looking at Dennis Schroeder for Brooklyn, he's also in a good spot. He's been playing very well. He's got a high ceiling right now, though he does have that low floor that we do know that he continues to have. But his assist numbers are pretty up. So as long as he's playing well, he's somebody you have to consider. And he's not terribly priced yet, at least. Mikal Bridges, oopsies, for the Knicks looks very interesting today. He might be a little bit underpriced for his role right now. He's come down in price a few dollars, and he's got a very favorable match with Detroit, so he's definitely somebody I'd consider. He has some potential to get 35 to 40 fantasy points in this particular game, though he's not a must-play by any stretch. Dosunmu may get a big boost today for the Bulls if Levine is out. Do keep an eye out to see if that's the case, but he's been playing over 25 minutes a game, and he can definitely score in the fantasy points he needs, so he is a little bit boom or bust at times. So he's not a must play by any stretch. Looking at our small forwards, Chair for the Hawks looks very solid today. He's been up and down so far to start his career in the NBA, but he's got the minutes upside today with so many injuries piling up there. He's going to be a starter likely, and he should get a good fundamental amount of minutes. The question is, can he stay out of foul trouble to get to the payoff period there? RJ Barrett does look interesting today as well for Toronto. He has been good in this other last game. He has had some injury already, but with the injuries on this team, he's going to be a clear cut #1 guy. And the Lakers' defense has been suspect, uh, though he is in a position that can be tough defensively against the Lakers. I don't think he's going to have too much trouble being a dominant player today and has that 50 fantasy point potential. We also like David Roddy. For Atlanta as he might move into being into a good role today. His price point is a little higher than I'd like it to be, but he's been over 20 fantasy points in 3 straight games. Definitely capable there. Josh Hart is very interesting today for the Knicks as he's been pretty good so far this season, and he's got a very favorable matchup today as opposed to the last game against Miami. I look for him to have another 35 to 40 fantasy point game, and that definitely gives him a lot of potential today. Rui Hachimura has been a guy that you can kind of rely on when he gets some minutes, but he's been inconsistent so far when it comes to the minutes. At least the last 2 games have been a little bit lower. I do think that the matchups there dictated him playing a little bit less, but he should be playing a good amount of minutes in this one against Toronto, who's very weak defensively. He's got a lot of upside today. Looking at our power forwards, Jonathan Isaac is a very interesting play today for Orlando. He could get more minutes today for the first time in a while with all the injuries to Banchero and stuff. I look for him to be a kind of an interesting play. Josh Hart can also play here. Ortiz Wagner also looks interesting for Orlando as he draws some good potential for more minutes as well with all the different injuries there, especially if Franz Wagner is ruled out. Rui can play here as well. And then LeBron does have some upside in this matchup. Now, keep in mind that the only way LeBron pays off is if the game is tight in the fourth quarter and he's going to come in and try to win the game. He's had some bad games this season in that scenario, but he's had one good one against Sacramento. I do think this game has the potential to be a little bit lopsided because Toronto's so bad, so he may not get that opportunity. Looking at our centers, Jonathan Isaac can also play here. Jacob Podol can can also play here at Toronto for Toronto against the Lakers. He's going to have a lot of potential today. Guys that dominated the Lakers inside. I look for him to continue that trend here as he's had some really good games as of late. Wagner, who I already mentioned at Orlando, is available here as well. Anthony Davis does look interesting today, though he is injury risk every time out, so do keep that in mind. But he should be getting a full complement of minutes and have double-double upside if he does draw the start, and he also gets that nice block bonus. Wendell Carter Jr. also interesting today against Cleveland, though he definitely carries a little bit of risk. His price has come down a little, which definitely gives him some potential. So that said, that's what I have for this slate. If you have any comments or questions,